Hey everyone, we are back for another Training Tuesday, and for the first time we're going to be doing it with a special guest. We got Graham from GBGuns here, and we are going to be doing the 15 in 10 drill. We're also doing it with a pretty fancy little gun that he brought along with him. So what is the gun that you have there?
This is the BUL Armory SAS II TAC 4 1/4. BUL Armory is known internationally for their competition guns. This is their duty carryable gun, lightweight, 4 1/4 inch barrel. So I think probably very fitting for a drill that requires drawing and landing shots quickly.
Yeah, and so this is going to be a pretty tough drill. Hopefully this will aid us in doing that. But the 15 in 10 drill, basically we have 3 different targets at 3 different distances. We have 3 separate strings of fire. On the first string, draw off the beep, 5 rounds into the A zone at the 20-yard target. Draw, fire 5 rounds into the 10-yard target. And then finally draw, fire 5 rounds into the 5-yard target. Cumulative time has to be under 10 seconds with all hits being in the A zone. We have a C zone target at 20 yards. We're just gonna call that good if we get hits on there. But drawing and firing 5 rounds at 3 different distances for a cumulative time of under 10 seconds should be pretty tricky.
With the gun, you don't have a lot of trigger time on.
Yeah, especially. Now that being said, we have shot this a little bit. It definitely is setting us up for success, I'll put it that way. But enough jabbering, let's see how this BUL Armory pistol does in my more inexperienced hands and Graham's more experienced pistol shooting hands. So
I am taking this to a training event in a couple weeks, simply to try something different. That does not mean that I've spent a lot of time with it yet.
yeah, and we have the 3 different targets instead of just moving closer on the same target. So we'll, after we're done with the total course of fire, we'll go through, evaluate each target, and make sure that we've got the hits required to pass, assuming we can even do it in the passing time. But yeah, let's get shooting. All right, so we're going to be drawing from outside the waistband holster with this BUL Armory pistol. Again, 5 shots in each string of fire. Got my shot timer here, and first one's going to be the hardest one at our steel target there at 20 yards. Make sure I'm not blocking that camera. Okay. Okay, so that was 4:04, meaning I have 6 seconds basically to fire 6 more rounds, including a draw at these other distances. Make sure I got safety on. But that trigger is really nice. So as we get closer, we should be able to go quite a bit faster. So 4:04. All right, through 1 outside the A zone I can see already. That was 3:44. So about 2.5 seconds to get the last 5 shots at our closest 5-yard target here. Just under the time, 2:44 seconds on there. This thing rips, especially up close. I was basically able to just pull the trigger as fast as I could. Actually, I'm curious what my splits were. Oh, shoot. I'm not going to be able to go back and review it. We'll do it in editing, but I'm anxious to see how you do. All right, so we've got the target we were shooting at here at 20 yards. Now, you do see that I got one right off the edge of the steel right there, but we did have all impacts on. By the standards that we're doing, we're going to call that pass for here, but really these 3 are probably the only ones that are in the proper A zone. Moving back to our 10-yard target here, you can see from the back side, we definitely had one go outside the edge. Now, once you actually get your sights on target with this gun, it is very, very stable shooting. So I'm pretty sure that one on the left-hand side there was my first shot, but then once I got my sight picture established, this thing ran real quick. As is a perfect demonstration here on the 5-yard target. We kept all of them easily in the A zone, and I was able to rip those rounds out pretty dang quick. So really, with a little bit more time behind this pistol, where I can get that first round a little bit better, I think this gun is definitely capable of it. So well, let's see how Graham does.
So draw on 5?
Yep, 5 on the 20-yard target, and then safe and holster.
Okay.
All right, shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Nice. So a little bit faster than me. We got 3.98. So you got still about 6 seconds to get the remaining 10 shots. And all those were hits on the steel. So now we're moving on to the 10-yard target. Draw, fire 5 rounds on the beat.
Okay.
All right, shooter ready? Stand by. Nice. All those in the A zone, 3.45 seconds. So I think almost about the same time that I did in, but you got all A zones there. So last 5 shots, you got about 2.5 seconds. Shooter ready? Stand by.
I threw one.
Oh, just barely, but man, that was quick. I'm actually curious now looking at these splits since I didn't hit the button. One of those was a 0.14 split, and that was real quick. So before we walk down and look at the hits, how does it feel shooting? Like, cause let me make sure we're in frame here. So go ahead and step in here. So if you're not familiar with his channel, you do a bunch of handgun testing, and you have a really good protocol that I think does a good way of comprehensively, or having a good apples to apples comparison between a lot of guns. And you used to do competition shooting, but you don't do drill shooting like this super often. But for a gun that you've shot quite a bit, how did it feel running it under the timer right now?
The problem with as many reviews as I do is I become a jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
Aside from something that I've been through lots of training with, which is not this gun.
Sure.
It's part of why I'm taking this gun to a course in a couple weeks, just to get better at it. Swapping back to the 1911 mechanics wasn't too odd for me. What I felt, and I think you felt it too, at least it seemed that way, was, oh, I can go fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm used to guns having a little bit more jump in between, so it's a matter of making sure my sights are settled on target. And I found, again, like, especially on that 20-yard steel, over-confirming my sights, because I'm like, okay, am I actually back on yet? When really it was just kind of back on it on its own.
Yeah, the gun's just waiting,
Yeah.
Which is what pushed me on the close target, like, I'm just gonna burn it. And it was 80% success.
Yeah. Well, and so this drill is a little bit different than anything else we've done so far, where we kind of have a cumulative time over a couple strings of fire. So that's good and bad, and I think challenging from the shooter's perspective, because now I'm not just focused on the string of fire I'm doing, but how is that setting me up for future drills, which is almost making you overthink it more, which I think is an interesting test. But it's also a way of testing, because both of us did successfully do it in under 10 seconds cumulatively. We both had one shot out of an A zone on our targets, although
Mine embarrassingly was at close range.
but you're also ripping with that trigger, and it's just barely off. Mine was definitely further out. But this is a good way to test, can you draw efficiently and get your first shot on target, but can you pick up your sights quickly? And you know, there's obviously a lot of stuff you can do to train that, but also just biomechanically, is this gun working for you? Because again, this is a gun that I have my very first shots through today. I maybe have another 20 rounds through this gun before we started recording. But it still was very, very natural for me. And even with not having a lot of time with 1911s, the ergonomics were such that it did a lot of the work for me.
Yeah, I think this drill pushed tested your ability to control the gun at speed, which with a strange gun or a first-time gun is definitely a challenge. So props to you on your performance with it for that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so if you are interested in doing drills like this one, definitely check out the rest of the Training Tuesday videos. It's all thanks to Drill Index, who makes these training cards, which you've actually picked up a deck independently from what we're doing out here today. And you have a chance of winning your own, and it's very low barrier to entry. All you got to do is record yourself filming this drill or any of the others that we've done so far, upload it to YouTube or Instagram, and then tag myself and Drill Index in it. I had one submission for the month of August, meaning that one person is definitely winning the deck of cards. So you guys, the barrier to entry is very low. You have a very good chance of winning. You don't have to do well. You can do better than us. You can do worse than us. You don't have to film your first run like we did. You can do a couple runs, get really good at it before you let the whole world see it. And the whole world's not gonna see it because hardly anyone watches these videos. But again, the option is still out there. I definitely think it's worth your time and investment. You clearly thought it was worth your time and investment to pick up a deck of cards. Can you explain why you decided to pick it up?
Because although I travel to courses and go to the big schools and things, I'm terrible about practicing on my own. And part of that is if I've got the time and I go out to do some drills, suddenly my mind draws a blank and I can't think of what it is I want to do. And this not only gives you a list of things you can do, but if you're doing it like you do and you're pulling the card, it forces you to do a drill that you may not exactly want to. I gotta admit, especially doing first runs on camera, when as you're reading through this, I was like, great, this is the moment that the internet says Graham can't shoot.
Which actually, before we started recording, I was like, this is going to be really tough. 10 seconds to fire 15 rounds, including 5 shots at 20 yards. This is going to be really tough, and I'm surprised that we did it under the time. Now, we both did have shots out of the alpha zone, but
the target moved, it's windy.
yeah, you know, you can't tell. You can't hear the wind because these filters on the mics, but yeah, it's like a tornado out here.
Plus rotation of the earth.
Yep, Coriolis effect. We're facing south, so that definitely adds some difficulty.
Yeah.
I'm a little dehydrated.
The light shifting because of the weather. Now, the point is, folks, you don't choose when you get into a gunfight, so don't choose what your practice conditions are.
Yeah.
Just do it. No practice conditions are going to simulate the stress of a real life gunfight. So if you have a random variable that comes in that makes it tougher to shoot that day, run with it.
Yep.
Learn.
Yep. Yeah, and I just want to say thanks again to him for being a good sport and being willing to put himself out there like this in this drill. Thankfully, we both did relatively okay. But let us know how you think we did. Again, if you're interested, check out more of the videos and definitely submit an entry to hopefully win a deck of cards yourselves. But as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and I appreciate you watching.
Damn, those 4 were great.
Moving close to 4. So he got his 4 hits nice and tight there, and then through the last round a little bit high, but just outside the A zone. Moving back to the 10-yard target here, we've got 5 nice hits in the A zone there, nice and squarely in there. And then moving back to our 20-yard steel, again, by our parameters, we were just counting a hit on the steel as a hit. Again, at least 2 of those, if not 3 of those, would have definitely still been in the A zone on cardboard, but considering what we're doing out here, not too shabby.